Assalamualaikum, how you doing?
No, good.
Fine. So this is our Sheikh Youcef Sai here to give a reminder about the 5 before 5 hadith, and we're going to start off with a Q&A, and then we'll move on over into the lecture. Alright, so I'd just like to ask you first, what advice would you give to Muslims in Irish universities?
Jazakallah khair. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulillah. It's a very kind of open-ended question, but obviously as a minority community here in Ireland, and as Muslims, I suppose, studying in not just university but institutions throughout Ireland, I think it's very important that the Muslims are very much connected with one another, and that they very much connected with their own societies within the universities and involved within the activities and participating in those. Retaining our identity as Muslims in this society is a very big challenge, and we are facing many different challenges, and one of them is our identity. Who are we as Muslims? We have very different cultural backgrounds, we have various different languages, coming from different languages, different cultures and so on. But what connects us all together is our Islamic identity, our identity as Muslims. What do we believe in, and so on. Within the university, sometimes we get lost within, especially these big universities like UCD and so on. And we don't go to our courses and we study and so on. But we forget also that, you know what, we're learning all these secular subjects, and they're all very good and they will benefit us. But what about our own Islamic education? What about our own learning experience, and how can we avail of the opportunities within the university during our time here? Because we know the time is very, very short, 2, 3, 4 year courses or whatever it is, and time goes very, very quickly. So as Muslims, we should try to have a balance in our studies, not just studying of the secular sciences and so on, but also trying to participate in education activities that might be taking place within the university. So I think that's very, very important for Muslims in these environments, that they make the most of their time in those and have a balance, because Muslims previously in history, they were masters in the various sciences and all the various different subjects, the secular subjects if you want to call them, the worldly sciences, but at the same time they had expertise and they had knowledge also in the Islamic sciences and in their religion. So that's what the Muslim is. He's balanced, he has knowledge of both, and then he's able to navigate his affairs then in this world. I think that's very, very important, that they try to cling very much to the Muslim community within the university, whether it be through the Isocs or other ways.
Oh, that's really nice. So join Islamic Society, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. I think you just have a care. That's a very good reminder. And we'll just move on to our next question, which is, do you have any advice on ways we can improve the activities we're doing as an Islamic society here in UCD, and even just, I suppose, in Ireland?
Yeah, I think a lot of the work that's been done by the Isocs has to be commended, and those volunteers who are putting a lot of effort into trying to organise events and so on. It's not easy, especially trying to fit those in within their own busy schedules. So I think that's something which has to be commended, and it's certainly a step in the right direction, positive direction. As well as that, we can always improve. We can always do things in a better way, and there's always room for improvement. I think it's important to have a bit of structure sometimes when we were just talking about it there previously, about having structured courses, just like you have a course within university. People are used to, especially we're used to a certain way of being taught and structured and modules and so on. And maybe perhaps thinking in the future, rather than just having kind of reminders, kind of these type of Iman boosters if you want, we could have possibly think about having more structured learning, in a sense where there's objectives, there's a beginning, there's an end, possibly being assessed, and then examination of some kind. Nothing too stressful, because you're already gone through many exams, but at the same time I think then people will value it and they will actually appreciate it more, and you'll feel that you actually maybe achieve something. So maybe that could be something which the societies could be thinking about, in terms of having more structured and detailed courses, rather than kind of Iman boosters, which is it seems to be kind of the way which we find.
Kind of like modular with like learning outcomes.
It could, something which it could be. It doesn't have to be something anything too difficult, but something which has a beginning and an end. It has a sort of a finality to it.
Exactly.
And it could be, like we mentioned, 40 hadith of Nawawi. That could be done over a period of a 4-year period. or whatever it might be. But the idea is that that students, they enter into university and that they leave with something, you know. And I think that's very, very important. But I think if we're scattering and jumping from topic to topic and different things, it's very hard to get people. That's hard to really kind of gain
Focus,
solid, to have a focus and to gain deep knowledge within of the religion.
It's kind of more of a casual thing rather than something you take it quite seriously.
Because you're already in study mode, being in the university, and you're already kind of used. I think if you take that those feelings, take advantage, then maybe you can, you know, it can be a bit more serious and you can get more benefit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're obviously capable, so why not apply it to Islam and, like, you know, our Islamic education?
Exactly. Yeah.
Would you say that like what kind of methods are kind of useful for a student to kind of learn Islamically? Like a lot of people do use videos these days. I prefer books. I'm not sure. What do you think? Or is there just individual basis? Or
look, I think everybody has different learning preferences. I think nowadays, you know, obviously media, what we're doing, videos and so on are useful. Now there's lots of ways in which you can learn. It's not just by books or, you know, or the traditional way of learning. We have lots of access to different mediums. So I think it's up to the individual, but the important thing is that we're doing it and it's a consistent thing. You know, like the Prophet said that, you know, the best action are those which are done, you know, continuously, even if they're small in quantity. You know, so doing that little bit of your Quran, a little bit of tafsir, whatever it might be that you're trying to do, you're trying to learn, but to do it on a regular basis. And I think that's key. And to have a bit of a structure to what you're doing. I think that would make a huge difference. I know what I did last year, a couple of years back, within Trinity College, we had a course in Surah Al-Fatiha. So we went through every ayah. Every week we just talked about that ayah in Surah Al-Fatiha. So we went through the whole surah in the Quran. Of course, Surah Al-Fatiha is the greatest surah in the Quran. So and we all read it 17 times at a minimum, you know, every day. So it's something which is practical, something which we need as Muslims. At the same time, which is a bit more detailed beyond the superficial kind of, you know, understanding of these things. So I think that's important. So like I said to you, lecturing, videos online, having perhaps, for example, within your own Islamic societies, maybe, for example, you have your own little network, posting videos every week or recording the videos. I think that's what you're doing already anyway, recording the videos, putting them. So people, maybe, like, at the end of the day, we have to understand that people's schedules are different.
Exactly.
Some people cannot attend the class, but at least in the comfort of their own home, they can you know, they can log in or whatever it is, or they can access it. So it's about really trying to cater for all the kind of all the ways of learning, not just particularly fixing on one particular way.
That's good. Yeah, kind of like kind of specialise it. And you've mentioned Trinity College several times now. Is that a real college?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I'm not a student anymore there.
We'll ring them up.
I don't have any loyalties anymore.
Exactly. Well, sure, you're loyal to UCD now, I think.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm one of you. Well, I used to be a student.
Welcome to the crowd.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Just look into the camera a little bit. I'm just kidding. No, it's fine. Yeah. I'm sure they have a university.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure it's accredited. Yeah. But that's fine. We'll move on. Moving swiftly on.
Yeah.
All right. So, just for yourself, like, growing up as an Irish Muslim, what has the experience been like for you? And how would you sort of contrast that experience to the experiences you've had abroad? Because I know you've lived in Kuwait and lived in France. So
UAE. I used to spend some time in the UAE. Well, you know, the thing is that, you know, I think the Muslim community has changed a lot since I was growing up here. In terms, obviously, the demographics have changed. You know, considerably. Like, you know, when I was maybe 2015, there wasn't that many Muslims here, to be honest with you. It's really kind of grown, you know, and you have all your societies, your camps and so on. Those things weren't as common as they are now. So it was a bit of a struggle in terms of good companionship and so on. When I went abroad, then it was a lot easier, and making, you know, Muslim friends and kind of being around people who you consider would be, you know, have a good effect on you and your character. So I think for me, my experience helped me a lot being outside and to learning Islam, you know, and going abroad and studying Arabic and Islamic studies. That was a very important turning point in my life. When I went to France in particular, I remember when I went there for the first year, I'd done my degree and did a postgraduate diploma in DCU, and then I decided that I was going to go and learn Arabic. and from there was actually kind of the first point of contact where I had Muslim friends. So that was a kind of a big turning point for me. But I think it's different for kind of this generation and those who are kind of where they, you know, they kind of they might be attending Muslim schools. They kind of retain a lot of those friendships, and if they don't, they kind of make their friendships in university, which I don't think, well, it was for certain, but not obviously as much as it is now. So I think in terms of friendships is very important, and I go back up to the first question in terms of advice. Again, keeping those friendships is very important, because if you don't, at the end of the day, it's not just to say that you can't have friendships with people of other faiths,
of course,
but at the same time, you know, when you're with people who share the same faith, it becomes easier for you as a Muslim to practice your faith. They remind you of your prayers. They remind you, you know, of having good character.
Like you were saying
identity is right. This is a key thing, you know, and a lot of, like I said, there's a confusion in identity with a lot of Muslims. They don't know really what they are, who they are, and they're kind of they hold a lot of baggage as well, because their parents probably are from different backgrounds and so on, and they don't know where they fit in. They may be born here, and there's all these kind of questions that they're asking themselves, and looking for acceptance as well, either with their family, their communities, whatever it is. So there's a lot of identity questions there, which are I suppose are being questioned, I suppose, in terms of what am I? Am I Muslim? Am I an Irish Muslim, or a Muslim happens to be Irish, or am I Pakistani, or am I Algerian, or what am I?
I'm definitely not Algerian.
Right.
All right.
So it's kind of like you have to find your way. But what you find is that when you remove all of the kind of the confusion, at the end of the day, you're Muslim primarily. That's what your identity is.
That's it, exactly.
And all of these parts are just, if you like, strings to your bow, right? They're all part of your identity as a person, but primarily it's your faith, which is the under. It's like you got what do they call it in mathematics? The denominating, what do they call it? The common denominator.
Maths.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Yeah, I did that so long ago in leaving cert. So, so common denominator is that we're Muslims, and then obviously we're all
that's thing. It's like something that Muslims really struggle with these days. Like, what are they primarily? Like, you know, but yeah. And just on that note, actually, we'll be actually having a camp on the topic of identity. I'm going to shamelessly advertise 2016 FIGO. Please attend. But yeah, so it'll be more of this. Yeah. I think that's all the questions we had lined up. We can just kind of, you know, end there. Or, yeah. Thank you very much
for inviting me, and best of luck, inshallah, for the future.
Thank you very much. Same to you, inshallah.
May Allah make it easy for you guys, and inshallah ta'ala we'll see you again.
Inshallah. Thank you very much.
Barakallahu fik.